I look at the CEOs that we serve at our clients and what they went through the last 5 years, right? A tremendous recession, heavily focused on cost cutting and taking on every expense they possibly could. The lines of your business that actually take care of the customer are looked upon as cost centers. And those departments suffered a whole lot when you think about it in 2008 and 2009. And when they came out of that point, they're at a position to grow. And I think for them, it became, how do I drive growth with the lowest acquisition cost possible? And one way to do that, I think for the CEOs today, is looking at retention. And that's where I think customer centricity is more than just a fad, right, for a CEO. It is their way to drive growth. It's their way to drive shareholder value.
We lived in a period of time where organizations liked to hear from themselves internally because they thought they were best informed about what the customer wanted. But now the customer has a larger voice than ever before. And with the larger voice becomes conversation amongst customers. So it becomes self-perpetuating and it becomes richer. And there's good feedback to the organization. So in many ways, the richness, the frequency, the vibrancy of the customer voice has swung back to a point where we have a much more powerful source of information than ever before, far more powerful than what a decade ago was the internal voice.
What hasn't changed is people have always talked about their experiences with brands and with organizations in the marketplace. What has changed is where they talk about it and how discoverable that volume of conversation is in the marketplace. And so I always think about the brand. Is every conversation that an organization has with the marketplace is their brand promise. The conversations that their constituents are having, what their customers are having online, is the truth of that brand promise. Right. And it's that inflection point of how true is what we're saying to the marketplace being reflected in the voice of our actual customers who deal with us every day, and how aligned are those messages. If they're really well aligned, I'm a very customer-centered organization. I'm listening, I'm responding, I'm engaging. If they're not aligned, I have room to improve.
In the past 10 years, there is a galvanizing metric, if you will, that's arisen that has driven the customer-centric organization, and that is the concept of customer lifetime value. And it began a decade ago, maybe even a little bit more than that, with telecom companies looking at every event from cradle to grave in terms of the life cycle of the customer. Now, we almost have this notion of a customer-level P&L that every company is attuned to way beyond telecom. It's moved into a B2B context, a B2C context. Wherever you are, if you aren't looking at customer lifetime value, you're not taking the first steps towards a customer-centric organization.
We've always been really good at asking the question of what are we trying to do with our customers, and not always as good at asking the question of what is our customer trying to do with us. And the result of that, especially with digital and especially with social, is the fracture of channels. Right? What's great about social is that the barrier to entry to creating a customer touch point is somewhere near 0 in seconds to go create a channel. What's disastrous about social is that the barrier to entry to creating a connection with your customers is close to 0.
And more mature companies struggle with this. They struggle with the change because they've built their business over time. They have organizational models in place that are difficult to change. Newer companies, they think through this, and we see it in a lot of different industries. If you look at a traditional insurance company that sells home and auto and medical, they might as well be 3 different companies. It's a fractured customer experience.
One of the things that's happened, especially in the past 5 years, is before that, we used to draw a box around our industry space, whatever sector we operated in. And we said, what are the Joneses doing? And we tried to keep up with the Joneses. But what's happening with the customer domain is the customer's expectations on experience, on what you do for them, how you serve them, what your products are, has no boundaries, knows no industry boundaries. So what's happening in another industry far afield that's moving very fast now is the expectation in your industry. And that has served as an accelerator, maybe the primary accelerator for this whole notion of the customer-centric organization. Because whatever happens, even in an industry far afield from what I'm doing today, is now relevant to me. The customer knows no boundaries when it comes to their expectations.
And we have, our notable organizations out there, who has taken a great product, layered in with a great service, and on top of that, wrapped it with a fantastic experience, and now they're able to command a price premium.
Yeah, you kind of point to the alternative, which is, do you really want to win on price in this marketplace? I don't want to win on price. I want to win on service. Right. I want to win on experience. That's where shareholder value comes in for our clients. It's where shareholder value comes in for us as participants in this part of the economy.